testimonies is not here yet. He will be very shortly. It's not his fault for being late. He had another little job that he had to do and so on, and so Rick will be here momentarily, but I said to Tina, I'm so anxious to hear what she has to say that I really don't want to postpone it any longer. So a couple of people apparently were interested in, you know, how do you get into the group and things like that. Basically, it's if you can find room C216, you're in the group already.
Just show up.
We have been so accustomed to using 270, which is way over the other side and everything like that, that I must admit when I first came in, I was thinking of other rooms. I think I was down around the 240s and everything, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way. So as a typical man, after looking around everywhere, I finally looked at the sign, and oh, there it is, there. So anyway, I did find it. So I put up signs, but I know they're way too small and everything. You'll never see them or anything like that, but hopefully people will be able to find it. So basically that's it. Rick has a sheet, and we'll get you to sign it later. If you want us to notify you by email of the upcoming guest speakers and so on. As far as I know, the room will always be the same throughout the year. Like, we're not going back to 270 again, so.
No?
Yeah, I know. But anyway, and that's basically it. There's no admission charge or anything like that. What I do is, well, I mean, what we have done for years, and I mean, I go, oh, that's getting heavy. Anyway, is just have a tin here, and it's silver collection, whatever you feel is right. We have to pay for the rooms and everything like that, so that's the only reason we're collecting money. We don't get any ourselves. Unfortunately, Tina, I don't know if you were advised of this or not, but you're not getting any money. And that really is kind of a shame because, you know, actually giving up her time and everything like that, she should be given some kind of an honorarium. But anyway, we won't get into that now. That's another topic and everything. So anyway, I already told Tina that, well, two things I didn't tell her. First of all, I didn't tell you that Bep Iras, or Elizabeth Iras, used to be a nurse, and so if you feel that at any time that Junior is going to rival a nurse, no, I'm just kidding.
Won't be tonight.
She delivered many babies.
She's officially due on the 24th, but no, just, well, anyway. Okay. Anyway, as I said before, I'm so anxious to hear what Tina has to say. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about her and everything. I'm going to tell you that she is Tina Quinn, and that you know from the little sheet that you may or may not have read on the internet and everything. Other than that, I would like her to just get started. She will introduce you. She will tell you what she is going to do for us. What I really liked about what she said on the little blurb and everything I got was, are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? And I guess that's really what a lot of us, particularly us who are over 30 or so, really start to feel kind of sick and tired of things like that. So I'm going to turn it over to Tina, and I know she's going to do just an absolutely fabulous job.
Okay, thank you. Great. Well, my name is Tina Quinn. And I just wanted to give you a little bit about why I got into this field. And I'll give you a bit of my background, just so you know where I come from and why I went into this. I've been a radiation therapist for the past 15 years. It's a very medical-based profession. I got into it because I had a passion for cancer. But back when I was 18, I didn't look at what was in food additives, all that kind of stuff. It really wasn't a part of my life at the time. I ate what I could, and that was about it. And it's with time that I started learning about the power of food and what food can do to your body, negatively or positively. And so I continued being a radiation therapist. Over the last 8 years, I haven't been practicing with patients. I've been troubleshooting all the machines and the electronic medical records around North America for one of the leading radiation oncology companies. But part of me feels that I need to get into prevention more than the aftermath of everything. So I still have that cancer prevention, the cancer passion, and I wanted to do something with it. It wasn't until I had my little boy in 2010, my husband and I went on a honeymoon, did a detox, 7-day detox it's called Grail Springs. So it's down in southern Ontario. It was an amazing 7 days. I have to say it was, because we were going to go to Cuba or wherever, or this, and we had beautiful food. We decided not to do the juicing option because we were on a honeymoon, and they actually gave us an organic blueberry local wine that we were allowed to drink, but they said shh. So, but I had the opportunity, over that 7 days, I met a girl who was doing BioEnergetics. So I got to know her over that week, and she gave me the website. She said, go see if anybody's trained in Thunder Bay. So I came back home all excited because I didn't want to do any internet while I was there, but there was nobody trained in Thunder Bay. So I had asked my naturopath, a chiropractor, to a few people, you know, you should really bring this to Thunder Bay. And everybody said, I can't do any more services, you just can't do this. And I said, oh darn. So I waited, and then every time I traveled for business, I would go get treatments. I would look them up and see who was around. But it started getting costly because I always had to do the consult fee at the beginning, but then I would never see them again to do like subsequent treatments. And then I had my son in 2011, who was extremely colicky, and I feel like I went to see everybody for his condition, and they said, you just have to wait it out, just have to wait it out. Well, it was at that point that I decided to go back to school for holistic nutrition, because I said, you know what, I'm doing this, no one else is doing it, I'm gonna just get it out of the way. But you have to be a chiropractor, naturopath, Chinese medicine, practitioner, holistic nutritionist, something in the holistic field. I did call them and say, can I do this even though I'm a radiation therapist? And they said no. So I couldn't do it. So I did go back to school, and it took me a few years to do the holistic nutrition. I was doing it part-time because obviously I was working full-time. And my son literally cried till he was 8 months old. Starting at around 5 p.m., my husband and I would take turns, and he would literally push us back. I can't believe the strength. And he couldn't sit, he couldn't lay, and I just laid, like I just rocked with him all night long. And when he woke up to cry, then I was there. And then when he fell asleep, I would just be like so stiff I didn't want to move him, right? Because I realized what it was like not to sleep at all. So that's where nutrition really helped me. And I learned so many things that I could have done, but I learned it too late. What I did do is I knew it was food related. They put colic in such a generalized form that you don't really know what it is. He ended up having a soy allergy, but I'm lactose intolerant, or was at the time, and I was drinking soy milk. So it was constant, and I didn't know. So what I did is I was so desperate that I eliminated all foods. I just didn't do one at a time. I eliminated gluten, dairy, like all the stressors, eggs, all the main things. So I got so skinny because I'm breastfeeding, I'm hardly eating, because I've eliminated all the allergens. And, but he became 75% better. It was absolutely amazing. And that was at around 5 months where he stopped crying, but then he was waking up every 30 minutes all night long to feed. So I knew there was still something else. And that ended up being acid reflux. So all of this made me become passionate with BioEnergetics more. And when I thought of this, it was all, when I heard of it, it used to all be about allergies. It wasn't about any other balancing. But what happened is the pharmaceutical companies kind of came down on them, and Health Canada said, you can no longer just focus on allergies. You can't call yourselves holistic allergists anymore. We want to help you, but you know, we're going to have to really be safe. So that's when the change in name came about. So now we're called Registered BioEnergetics Practitioners. And it was a blessing in disguise because we're not limiting ourselves to allergies anymore. You can really balance any imbalance in the body. So that's kind of how I came about this field. I finally brought it to Thunder Bay. Took a bit of investing, but hey, I'm here. I was certified in March, and I just started my practice in August. Found a place. And although I was pregnant, I thought, you know what, this is just too strong, I can't wait until after the baby. So I started everything, and then I plan to take a few months off, and then start back up in December, seeing clients again. So that's pretty much my background. I'm still working as a clinical technical support specialist, but my goal is to slowly move into this field full time. And my nutrition college has a holistic cancer practitioner program. So it's funny how all of this kind of brings me back to, one, I have such a big radiation physics background, and now I'm getting into cancer prevention, and I'm starting to see all the quantum physics. And I have so much physics background that now I could just do the quantum physics and look at non-ionizing radiation and the causes that it really causes us, because it really affects this whole field. That's a whole other topic in itself. But all the power of EMFs, Wi-Fi, cell phones, things like that, and how it could really change your polarity and change your life and cause, in some people, cancer. So that's kind of where I'm moving. My whole business is into prevention and just being healthy as well, and trying to protect your body from those things that we can't stop. Everybody has cell phone, almost everybody has cell phones. But it's just around us. We can't get away from it. It's in our system, military system, like solar system. It's everywhere, so we can't get away from it. So now we have to do something to help publicize it. And then the cancer, the holistic cancer, I really want to get more into nutrition. I have years of more studying to do, but that's where I plan to move everything. And BioEnergetics will always be part of that. It lends itself well to all of this. So a little bit about bioenergetic, well, we call it bioenergetics or bioenergetic intolerance elimination. So it's whatever you choose. So it's called BIE, bioenergetic intolerance elimination. I'm going to go into the muscle testing and how I would test you. So it's not the typical allergy scratch test or a blood test, like the IgG testing that some people have done, which is good. If someone has done that, I will take that information, the IgG test results, which is more sensitivities. The scratch testing is more looking at immune response, so it's the IgG antibodies. And IgG antibodies or intolerances are more, they could be delayed reactions from 5 to 10 days. So if you're doing a food elimination diet, it's so hard to find out what a sensitivity might be, because it might be delayed for 5 days. Or that pimple or whatever might come out 5 days later, and you don't really know. You think it's what you ate that day, but it's 5 days earlier. So that's why it's difficult to figure out what a sensitivity might be. With full-blown allergies, you have an immune response, so it's either anaphylactic shock or you have something that you feel right away. So that's more of an immediate, and it's easier to figure out if you have that. So I have thousands of vials. I brought a few kits, and I'm continuously getting more. So we have everything from plant pollens to HPV viruses to just normal, the common viruses, to all the different foods. This is my main kit that I do. I usually, on the first consult, depending, if it's just a general consult, I usually test all of a panel of 100 foods. And if someone wants to see what foods are in there, then that's kind of what I start with for testing. I could pass those around if people want to look. And then once I start seeing, if I see all of your proteins are out of whack or out of balance, then I'm going to start focusing on the kits that I have. Let's say it's all the meats, then I have a kit with every single kind of meat and types of meat. If I see everything in proteins like eggs, even the lentils, dairy, all of that, then it might be an amino acid deficiency that we're looking at. So then I'll move to amino acids and I'll test that full kit. So I really look at the individual. We start with the food. It tells me vitamin, mineral deficiencies, whatever you might have, and then we really focus in on that. And then we have everything from digestive enzymes, fatty acids, minerals, vitamins, what else? Food additives. I have 3 kits of food additives. So I just start testing, but I don't test every kit on everybody because your hand would fall off. So what I do, or your arm. So what I do is muscle testing or biofeedback. Has anybody experienced, I'm sure you've heard about it if you come to this, this medium, this group. So what I do is I test each vial in the kit and I see if there's an imbalance. So what the imbalance tells me, I can't tell you if it's high or low. So it's not like a blood test that tells you the exact number. However, if there's somebody that really wants that blood test, I can send them for IgG testing. That's fine. It's just more expensive to do. And then I would waive like the consult fee if we were doing that. But I really like doing the muscle testing. It seems so simple, yet it's been used for so long. And it's not always right. You have to test for clarity. There could be fluorescent, if you're intolerant to fluorescent lights, your clarity might shift. And then so my testing is backwards. So I'm always testing your clarity. Sometimes we have to shut the lights off and get away from the fluorescent lights. So there is some things that could go wrong with muscle testing where you can be completely backwards with your testing. So it's really important to know that background so then you can make sure you test correctly. And then it's, so once I figure out what it is, then we get to the actual BIE technology. So this is the GSR unit. So it's pretty much what I'm certified to do. The testing, a lot of people can do that. A lot of people do it. And this is what my license costs me so much to do. So what this is a machine that uses acupressure points. And what we're doing is it's almost like, has everybody heard of acupuncture? Pretty much? Okay, so the energy that the needle brings to your body with acupuncture when it's vibrating is, this machine is probably just a bit higher than that. So I'm using the same acupressure points, but I'm using certain ones. So the main meridian channels I'm using, and what I'm doing is if I didn't have anything on this plate, and I used the machine on your acupressure points, I would be opening up your meridian channels if they're blocked. So it's a good treatment in itself just to open up channels. But then what's better is you can add on vials, and it's like introducing someone and you'll recognize them. So when you're stressed, or when you have leaky gut or whatever it may be, but the cause to any, like I'll talk about nutritional deficiencies. If you're in a really stressful environment, and let's say you're on the cell phone, and this sounds crazy, but you're on the cell phone, you're getting electromagnetic radiation coming through, and you're on the phone, and you've heard that someone in the family has died, and it's a traumatic experience, but you're also eating an apple at the same time. Your body is going into the fight or flight mode, and it's like a ship. Everybody has their job, and as soon as they go under attack, no one's doing their job, they're all shooting, right? So your digestive system is the same way. So as soon as you go into fight or flight mode, your digestion stops, and it's all about survival. So what happens is whatever you were ingesting at that time, and even if there's sunlight coming down, you might become, at that moment, intolerant to the frequency of an apple and the frequency of solar light, the two at the same time, which is called a cluster intolerance. So I have to try to find that as well. So let's say I'm trying to clear you of an apple and it's not working, then I have to kind of like figure out what I could do. And then we have protocols with things that are common. So gluten is often with dust as well. So if I can't clear gluten by itself, then I start looking at dust mites, things like that, because there's a lot of dust in grains. So sometimes it's all together. Or the dust in the house, because you're often eating bread in the house in the morning, sitting on the couch with whatever it might be. So we look at all of that, all of those things to try to clear you of that. So every living thing or food has a frequency. And has anybody heard of Dr. Emoto?
Mm-hmm.
So he has done a lot of experiments, and many people since have done a lot, where he proves that water holds frequency. So you can take 2 things of water and you can speak really nice to it, and then one you swear at it, and then they crystallize the water and you can actually see the difference between the crystals. It's really neat. I should have brought the book to show you guys. So the same thing holds true with homeopathy, with these vials. All of these are frequency vials, and the alcohol water contained in them, we have to put alcohol to preserve them like homeopathy, will carry that frequency. And that's why our bodies take on frequencies, because we're made up of water. So emotional miasms, in the womb, my little guy in here is learning while he's in here. If I have a traumatic experience, that could affect the baby as well, because they're getting that frequency. They subconsciously, they know what's going on. They're learning all of that, and it could even be in past lives. So that's kind of where everything starts with effects. So the stress of I was going back to stress, and I went all the way around. So that's how intolerances happen. And then by putting my vials on the machine and reintroducing them to your body, then I'm allowing, your body will know and recognize that object the next time, that frequency. So if I'm doing that apple that we just talked about, and I'm putting it on the machine and I reintroduce that frequency to your body, the next time you eat an apple, your body will recognize that frequency and it won't send an immune response or whatever it may be. If it's nuts, hormonal imbalances, things like that. We can't put too many vials on at one time. Usually I'm limited to about 5 categories. So I could do, if we're just doing food, I could do 5 different food categories, but I try to get as many vials at the same time. With dairy, it's a little more complicated to do because you're dealing with the hormones that cow was given, how that cow was treated, the life of that cow, any toxins that cow might have. So it's that dairy that's coming out is different from that farm, than this farm. So the frequencies that I have are great, but with dairy especially, we really need you to bring your favorite dairy products. And it's my job to kind of tell you the good and bad with dairy and if you should be eating it all the time as well. But it is possible to clear a dairy allergy or a lactose intolerance, or to rebalance your body from it. And so usually we need a good 3 sessions just for dairy, and we don't mix any other foods with it, and then we get you to bring your dairy products. With meat, I do the meat like this because I don't want you to bring a big steak. But I mean, if it's a severe allergy, then I will get you to bring the certain brands that you have. And same thing with eggs, and the chickens are the same thing. So usually the brands, if you're always getting Vanderwees eggs, then bring me a hard-boiled egg and a raw egg. And we put that on with all of my egg proteins and my egg vials. So I try to cluster everything together. When I'm working with hormones, I have to limit myself. Each hormone is a category. I have to do approximately 5, but I will body talk you, like I will ask to see if you can handle more. And we try to put as many on the machine as we can, but everybody's different. And so I have my main rules that I can go by, and then I test with each person to see if we can add more. Heavy metals, if we're trying to get rid of heavy metal, there's a big detox healing crisis that will come through. So I could literally do 1 heavy metal and I have to wait 2 months before I do anything else. So your body will go into a healing crisis. And everybody feels differently. Some people, I've worked with adrenal fatigue. Some people completely switched, their energy went right over the roof the next day. And then some people, went right down. And it's like, oh my God, I'm even more tired. And then they called me the next day. Hello. So everybody is different. Everybody's body will react differently. And it's not that I am clearing, it's your body that will decide what to do. It will recognize if it's a good thing or a bad thing, and it will know to get rid of it and detox it. And pretty much that's about it with BioEnergetics. Usually I get into a lot more nutrition piece of it. I just didn't know how long it would take me to talk.
Do you want to take questions now for a while?
Yeah, we could take questions, and that'll probably get into different topics.
I'd like you to go back and expand on the heavy metals a little. I'm delighted to hear that you can do it in just 2 months and be sure that it's gone. It's the certainty that that heavy metal is gone from your body that is very intriguing, because that's not an easy detox.
Yeah, so what we do is we always have to retest. So I would muscle test you for certain heavy metals. And we would decide, we would see your condition as well. Every heavy metal has different bodily outcomes, right, symptoms that you can have. So we would test, we would figure out which heavy metal we want to do. I also do hair mineral analysis. If you've done that already, you already know that you have a mercury toxicity. Myself in radiation therapy, I haven't tested myself because I'm pregnant, and my mineral transport is out of whack. So I haven't really focused on heavy metal, but I have tested many of my radiation therapy friends, and we're all lead intoxicated because we were in that lead room scraping down the thing, you know, and you don't realize this, you're young, you're 18, and you're not, you're told in school, but not really.
No.
Right? Like you learn this stuff, it shields radiation for a purpose, right? But you really don't hear about it, and it's not until my adult life that I learned all the stuff that I was putting my body through with my current field so I have tested a few friends that have lead and that I'm going to be working on with lead. So what we do is we do a treatment, we wait 2 months, and then we test you again. Depending on your toxicity, we might need to do a few. If I'm working with autism, it might take a whole year of treatments of certain things that we're looking at, because we might be looking at certain vaccinations, heavy metals from the vaccinations, and then food intolerances, so you can't all do that in one session. So some parents don't see a change for, like they're starting to feel like, oh my God, this is never going to change, and then all of a sudden the kid changes and everything starts. So some people take a little more time than others. Some people are instant by the next day. So that's why we have to test 2 months later. It might take 1 session, it might take 2, it might take 3.
But the fact that you can do it is important, and a distinction is now coming to my mind. You're clearing the metal, and when the metal is gone, you've left the body tolerant? What's left?
So what happens is, when you're rebalancing the body with a heavy metal, it's going to know if it's good or bad, and your body will know that it's a bad frequency, and you'll start eliminating the lead. So by itself, it's hard to eliminate lead. You have to go through chelation or all the other things, right? But BioEnergetics will help you eliminate that. So it's not that it's letting you accept it, but it's helping your body get rid of it. So if your body knows, like a food additive, oh my God, why am I keeping that? So it's getting rid of it as well. So it's not that it's allowing you to take something back. It's going to differentiate between good and bad, but it's all your body doing all of that. So it's not me deciding what it is, it's going to be your body that decides what it's going to do with that. And the other big thing with bioenergetics is so important because we're dealing with water and the frequency of water and how it holds frequency, that you're hydrated. So that's why I always remind people, and I try to remind again and again and again, make sure you drink lots of water. Not only for this treatment to work, but also so your body can detox and get rid of stuff. If you're not drinking water, it's staying in your system, you can't get rid of it. So you have to make sure that you're detoxing. And something like Candida, I can't do on my own. I have like a pathogenic fungi kit, and I could pass those frequencies, but you have to change your diet. It's not like it's going to go away. If you keep ingesting what the problem is, then it's going to continue, right? So with Candida, if we're dealing with Candida, then you want to go on a cleanse and rid your body. So go on a sugar-free diet, yeast-free diet, as well as some yeast, herbal yeast cleansers. And then possibly if you're doing the same thing, we always do parasites. Because all of these things they fake so many conditions that you don't know. And so you might be coming to me for something, but it's linked to something else.
Yes.
So so the things that affect BIE and make it work well is water, not having Candida, not having stress. Because stress is the leading cause of so many conditions in our life today. Whether it be good stress, like a wedding, or a bad stress, like a death of some sort, or just that stress of a family working, 2 full-time people with our kids nowadays, right? So it's a lot on our bodies, and it's different. So stress really affects how you digest food, and then that's how, when you have an undigested particle, protein that goes through, it's going to leak through your gut, you're going to get inflammation, and then it's going to cause immune responses, and that's how intolerances all start. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Oh, yes,
It's-
and
it's-
more, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You mentioned stress, good or bad. Stress, the body don't recognize if it's good or bad. You have to, if you,
Yeah, so stress can be that getting married stress. And I think of this a lot when I got married and when we went on our detox. And it was probably the best thing we could have done, because if we would have went down south, we would have been drinking, here or there, we would have been eating buffet food, deep fried, whatever else, and you always come back so bloated, and, because you're not doing the food combining principles, you're eating everything, so you're not eating a clean diet. And we went on this detox spa retreat for our honeymoon, and we felt like $1 million afterwards. And I really truly feel that if we would have went, because I was, that day where you're just, and then you go away to a warm country and then you get sick because you're finally letting loose and everything. Your immune system you kept it up, and then away you go. So we went on our detox, and it really got us strong again after the whole wedding stress, even though it was good stress. I can't tell you if I would have got sick or not, but I feel like
What do you recommend for deparasiting, or
for parasites.
do you recommend that people
So
certain things for deparasiting, or
yeah,
do you prep them for this before this, or how does,
so like if they have parasites,
if they come to you with problems,
Yeah.
do
so
you start them on a regiment of something, or?
yeah, so with parasites, that's the one thing I can't clear with bioenergetics. However, we have a whole parasite kit, and I test you to see which one, because that gives me knowledge of symptoms as well, right? So is it GI? Is it, it could be anything. It's just like fungi. Candida could attach itself to wherever a problem area is in your body. but it could also be respiratory, it could be skin, it could be nodules. So each fungi or parasite has a different, unique, like how it wants to come out of the body, or what it affects. So with fungi is good, it clears it, but I need to do a regimen with it. Parasites, the same thing, so we do black walnut or some herbs. So everything I do, I try to do naturally, because we all know what antibiotics can do to the body as well. So I try to do it. You can do high potency garlic as well for parasites, to try to get rid of those. But at least you know which one you're dealing with, and then it answers the question of possibly why you might have had certain symptoms. So it's all on what I get from the intake form and talking to you that links. And this is all going to come with experience, because obviously I don't know everything, and I'm not there to diagnose. We don't diagnose, we don't cure. You know, that's all the Health Canada rules. But I help you get empowered about what's going on in your body and what you can do about it, whether it be nutritionally, whether it be with BioEnergetics. But mainly the parasites and the fungi are the ones that are the hardest to clear with BioEnergetics. However, if we clear those, everything else is such a good treatment as well.
Because Hulda Clark, many years ago, she was talking, it was almost all different parasites were causing almost all different types of diseases. That's what she was basing it on. And she said black walnut covered the majority of them. But you're saying high potency garlic. What is that? Just like straight garlic?
You can get it in a herbal form.
Does it keep your friends away too?
You know what? You can get the non-smelly garlic. So no, I don't think it keeps your friends away.
I don't have any friends. I don't have to worry.
Yeah. And usually there's different ones. I can test you to see if you're, like muscle, test you to see if you're strong or weak. And then if, let's say you're on certain vitamins and you have low iron, so you're taking iron, but if your iron is deficient in any way, then you might be ingesting it, and it's just expensive pee, really, is what it comes down to, because if you don't ingest it, you're not using it. So it's important as well, if I'm doing a supplement, like if there's a really good supplement that you want to use, but you're getting bowel discomfort or a good protein, like a shake that you're doing, we can put the contents of that on the machine and reintroduce that to the frequency of that shake, so everything that it contains, so you can now absorb it. When we do that, we only put that one thing on the machine because it's just too much variety, and we can't control what's in there because there's so many things in there. So if you do go through a healing crisis, then we haven't put too much on the machine. And a lot of it you can think of, if you're introduced to 20 people, you might remember some of them within a year, but if you introduce 100 people, you're not going to remember who they all were by first name. So it's important that the less that you put on, the more it sticks. If it's an anaphylactic type of reaction that we're working with, it's not going to be one session. It's going, and I'm actually quite anxious to work with my own shellfish anaphylactic, but I'm not doing it while I'm pregnant because there's just no sense. You know, there's things that you can do being pregnant. What I focused on was making sure all my vitamins and minerals were in balance, so I'm ingesting everything that I'm taking for the baby. I didn't focus too much on, I focused on all my supplements, making sure that I'm getting that. And then I'm going to be harder on myself after a while, but I can't be detoxing too much with the baby, and then I'll be breastfeeding, so then I'll have to watch. So really food is fine, but when it gets into anything like, you don't want to activate parasites, fungus, anything like that, because they have to get into your system before they can get out, so you don't want to be doing any of that.
Can you kind of demonstrate this or
Sure.
something sort of? That would be interesting because I'm kind of lost
So
yet.
the points that I use, I did plug it in. I do have the plug though. So But it makes, actually, let me quickly,
There's one right there too.
Oh. I don't know why I didn't plug it in. So I have a foot pedal. Oh, and I also have a light pen. So I use the light pen for someone that would have a pacemaker, for a small child, like an infant. We're gonna use the light pen, so we're not directly touching. And some people are electrosensitive and they can really feel the,
They go buzz.
yeah, so then we use the light pen for those people. And it's as permanent, as what we're doing. It's just not as, it's harder to be direct.
I brought a product today to chat with Bill about, but it has at least 24 things in it. So if you need a sample of something with way too much in it, yeah, we got it here. That's the one I was telling you about on the phone.
I'm just gonna move this desk over here. So you don't want to be moving this guy around. Okay. So now what happens is I do need a bit of water when it comes to this, but what happens is when I put it on your skin and it finds an acupressure point, it'll turn blue. If it's not on an acupressure or a meridian channel, it'll be red. So it's a foolproof system
Yeah.
for the non-acupuncturist or the Chinese medicine practitioner. But someone with that experience is even better because they might use different points for certain conditions. But really the Institute really wants us to use points that they know works for this technique, and they've developed that for over 10 years now. Like they started with all the different points using. So it probably won't work on me, but one of your points is right here. Oh, okay, do you see the blue? Okay, so then when I do turn it on, it'll turn purple,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So what I do is I leave it on for, it'll beep once at 10 seconds, and it'll beep twice at 20 seconds, and I do both sides. So I do 20 seconds here, 20 seconds here, and then we go down to the nose. We do the sides. I always tap the chest. We never put any type of electricity frequency on the chest. And then we go right down to the feet, and we do several points on the feet. Now, just to give you a little story, you can do these exact same points. Let's say you're in a restaurant. We'll go back to this in a few seconds. You're in a restaurant, someone just had shellfish, they're having an anaphylactic reaction. So the first thing you're gonna do is call 911, because you don't wanna be liable. But what you can do to get them out of, and this is proven, to get them out of anaphylactic shock, you can, let's say it's a lobster, you can put the lobster right in the middle. So put it in between their pants, wherever, it's in your center chakra area. And then you start tapping these same points, so you have to be exact. So if you know all the points that I'm gonna do, and I can pass them around as well. So you have all these points that you're gonna do, and you tap them 20 times each. So you could be two people, someone starting on the feet, someone starting on the eyes, and you're tapping 20 times, 20 times, 20 times, 20 times, 20 times, and you could literally get them out of anaphylactic shock, because the shellfish, you've added that frequency to their body, and that's how you input the frequency, and then you're tapping the energy channels. So it's almost like a tapping method. And I could, the only thing with the tapping method, they did it for years, like the Institute, but the problem would come back, whether it be 3 months, whether it be 6 months, so it wouldn't be a permanent fix. but it is an emergency fix. So if you know your points and you wanna work with somebody, and the founders have had it happen to them twice where they've had to use it. They still called 911, because, you know, you're sitting there tapping on somebody, but by the time the ambulance gets there, they're out of anaphylactic shock. It's happened to them twice.
Would that work
Even
with
peanuts?
allergies too, like
Yeah,
people allergic to?
it'll work with allergies, but it's, like I said, it's not as permanent.
No, I'd say
So
if somebody had a bee sting or something like that, and they were swelling up and you didn't know what, didn't have no
I would have
Benadryl
to-
or something?
Yeah, I would have to ask the founder, because if you obviously can't put the B against, because you need that frequency. So if you could get that 8 into a cup, see, and then put it on them and then do it, that would probably work. But if you don't have the B to do it with, I don't know if it would work, because you're reintroducing that frequency.
So what if it's peanut butter? Just take a peanut butter jar and put it butter, or
Yeah,
container, or whatever
yeah,
it may
you
be?
could-
Those little packets in a restaurant.
Yeah. So if they're having an anaphylactic reaction to the peanut butter, then you would put that there in between their pants, in the belly area, and then you would do the same points.
I'd like to know if, okay, you're talking about emergency.
Yeah.
How about all those pressure points, because I take Tai Chi, and can we do that on ourselves, like just for preventing? Or it's just for emergency?
No,
Like
you
those
can
pressure
do tapping.
Yeah, you
There's
just
all
have,
kinds of, like, there's a whole tapping, yeah,
that will keep our body more healthy and
yeah.
open, I'll
Yeah,
take
you
it.
can definitely work at it on your own with the same points. You would have to contact me to know what points they are.
Thank
All
you,
the different points.
to want to do all that.
Because it's been over the years with developing which points it works, because they've used a variety of points and some just don't work. We have secondary points that if for some reason I've done a treatment and I retest to see if you're stronger, like sometimes you can really, with my testing, a lot of people have seen the muscle testing. I do it with the hands because I'm doing hundreds of things in a session, and your hand would be completely, like you might not feel it, because if you're strong with something, you're gonna be really strong, but then the next day it's gonna wanna fall off on you. So if you're demonstrating something, you can use the hand, especially with a cell phone. You could put a cell phone near your arm, you're gonna become so strong, even though it's bad for you, but see, that's why cell phones are such a dangerous thing, because they kind of fake the frequency of your body. So that's why I always ask if you have a watch on, if you have a cell phone on you, you have to take it off, because it will affect my testing, it'll make you stronger. So if you put a cell phone here and I test you, you're gonna be really strong. If we put the cell phone down by your foot, it's gonna bring all the energy down, and it's going to make you become weak, because all of your energy will be down at the bottom.
What about metals when you're first initially doing the intake? Do you recommend, because the metals that we wear are
Yeah,
like our metal be our
don't
frequency, but
affect it. What would affect it is like a real gem or stones, things
Yep.
like that, that all have their own energy.
energy. Yeah.
But metals, I've asked it several times because I keep asking. It's almost like I don't believe it. Are you sure we don't have to take jewelry off? But it's all of the, like if there is a gem or something, you want to take that
How
off.
about synthetic gems?
What's that?
The synthetic gems.
The synthetic, they say that it's okay. Yeah. But I've asked that question as well. I always keep this one on, but this is a EMF device, so it keeps me grounded. So then I'm not dealing with my polarity switching, and let's say I'm testing, and now it's not you the problem, it's me the problem. And me being pregnant with another person in there, I need to make sure my polarity is right.
What is it that you're wearing?
It's an EarthCom device, and the technology is inside. You can get different ones, and it grounds you. So if you have a cell phone or you're getting any Wi-Fi, it's going, instead of you absorbing it in your body, it's bringing it right to the ground and letting it disperse.
Or Q-Link,
Q-Link, same thing, yeah.
they have it on cell phone too,
Cell phone, yeah.
but the Q-Link's on there too. A
Yeah,
chip.
you put it right on your phone and it brings everything away from your ear. And you should never have a cell phone right against your ear anyway. But we're starting to hear a lot of that kind of stuff out there.
Would you like to talk a bit about MRIs and polarity that doesn't go back to normal?
You know what?
No.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
just-
not my area.
This is like 3 days old information, so.
Yeah, because I trained in radiation therapy, I trained in the cancer treatment, and I didn't train in the MRI and the diagnostic piece of it. So that's, I don't even wanna go there, because it's not my area.
Okay, thank you.
But thanks for asking, we can find out for you.
All right, now
From
come and
friends.
see you.
Yeah. Friends that are in the business, or not, in the prevention business.
So all those little things in there, that's all different, like different,
Yeah, yeah, so like in here, I have, 30, about 100, well, this box has 100 little things, so they're not all full.
okay, like what's in that box itself? Like
This
what-
one is all food additives, so
Okay.
we have everything, I have 3 kits of food additives.
Sulfites?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sulfates, everything, guar gum, xanthan gum, sorbitol, malic acid, and we have all the food colorings, the different ones.
So how do you use that with the person? Do you take that,
So what I
you do muscle testing with that and then put it on that? How do you
Yeah.
work this thing?
So what I do is I have them sit across from me, and you're, you know how to do this.
You just got volunteered.
So what I would do is I don't look at them, because I'm actually going to sit just at the corner. Actually, for the camera, I might sit with it. So if I was just doing, if I'm doing the whole kit, I'll get Ann just to take them out one by one. If I'm doing just one kit, because not all of them are the same subject, right? I have 3 kits per box. So I would get Ann to, let's say we're doing all of these. And then I would be testing with these 2 fingers. For men, sometimes I have to use the pinkies because they're too strong. Okay, so then I would see what her strength is. Okay, so, and I always say hold to remind the person to hold. And I see what her strength is, and then I check her polarity. And I'll explain how I check and why, well, I explain why, but how I'll explain. So hold, 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 okay, and then palm on the head, hold, and then the other way, hold. Okay, so what I'm doing there is checking to see if her polarity is, her chi is coming out of the head and back into the palm, or if it's coming back in. Because if her chi is going the opposite way, then all of my testing is going to be opposite. Okay? And I'll explain that in a second. Remind me if I forget. So now that I know that, so if she's weak, actually I'm going to explain it now and then we'll, because it just helps. So our bodies are, we have negative ions, is made of negative ions. Our palms of our hands are positive ions. So that's why the chi comes out and then comes back in the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. So then if Anne's chi is good, then if I put the palm, which is a positive, on the top of my head, and my head is negative, it's going to bring all the energy up, so she should become stronger. And when she puts the back of her hand, it's a negative, and then your body's negative, so it's going to pull all the negatives, detract, so it's going to push the energy down, so she's going to become weaker. So I could do the same thing this way, doing this and doing this, checking to see if her chi is going the right way, or I call it polarity, so if your polarity is good. So once I've established that her polarity is good, then what we do is, if we were doing this testing, we would be putting the object here. For the hand, we're putting it against this muscle. Okay, and then hold. And then, so I have a bin where I know what she's good with, a negative, and then we have middle of the way, and then a positive. So if she's really intolerant, she's not even gonna be able to hold her fingers, and it's gonna come right apart, and I'm gonna see that. If she's really strong, she should get to a point where I'm having trouble opening. But everybody is different with, and that's why I test her strength. So some people I can't even get the fingers apart. Some people, it's the same every time. So that's why I have to get used to your testing, and then I start seeing if you're weak, you're strong, weak, you're strong. And then I don't even look at the vials, because I don't want to be, because I'm also learning in the field, I don't want to be biased on what I think it should be. So what I do is I do the whole kit, and we go through, and then after we're done, the kit, we look and see what was positive. Some people try to look at the same time. It takes more time that way, if you're kind of curious, because you're going to see it all at the end anyway. So we just go, and then if I see a real weakness, then I look at it just so we remember which one that was. Like if I see a full on, like someone with really big adrenal fatigue, or like that has had it for a long time, we might look, the cortisol might just go whew, right apart. And then I'll know that that's kind of what we need to really focus on. So out of all the positives or the highly reactive vials. And then your body knows, your subconscious, your muscle knows, sends that signal up. And it's the power of the muscle. And now imagine ingesting that and you can't get it out. So your body's trying to eliminate that. It's reacting to it. It's trying to push it away, and that's kind of what's happening if you're weak or if you're strong. So if you're strong to something, then you're going to become really, if you're not intolerant to something, you're going to become very strong with muscle testing, and then when you're intolerant, then you're going to be weak.
So if you come up with, you came up with her as being positive or negative?
Oh, with this one, we didn't test enough. This one was normal. So we can test a few others.
So you test each one separately to test if she was,
Yeah, and eventually, once I have all of my kits, what I'm gonna do is get one vial with the frequency of every single thing in that kit. And then I wanna develop my protocol by system. So we're gonna have we're gonna have all of those systems. And what I'll do is, instead of a food assessment, if it's not food related, then what I'll do is I'll have a kit of 100 vials, and each vial will be the frequency of that whole kit. Although we can't just clear the whole kit at once, but I could actually test to see if something in that kit is extreme. So then once we're done, 100 different kits, then I'll kind of see in your body where the problem lies and where we should focus first. Whereas right now I'm doing all the kits. I mean, it's the same thing. Some people take the whole kit and they put it here and see if, but see, the problem with these kits is right now I've organized it. I bought all 3 food additive kits so they would all be in one box. But I have, because I couldn't afford everything at the beginning, I have radiations with, I forget what it is, but it's totally not related. And then I have geopathic stressors like the barometric pressures, things like that, in with another kit that's completely not related. So I'm running back and forth to get this and that. So it's not, so once I have all my kits, I'm gonna reorganize them all in systems. And then, but for me to test this whole kit, if you were positive to that, you would be positive to something in the reproductive system, something in the hormones, and something in the neurotransmitter kit. So I'd rather test each one separately. I could body talk and I could ask your subconscious, are you reacting to something in the reproductive system kit, things like that. But I'm very medical based yet holistic, so I'm scientific, I need proof. I'm still that way, so I like to test everything. That's just me. Everybody's different though. You get everybody in this field from someone very, like the 2 founders, One is very scientific, one is very, all she does is works with emotions and subconscious with this. So, one of the founders will work with a liver detox with scientific evidence, so he knows that liver is affected by this and this and this, and he works that way. Whereas she'll work with anger and all of that kind of stuff, which does the same thing. It ends up fixing the liver problem, but it was due to some anger that was inside. So every emotion is kind of linked to a condition as well. And you could do so much with this field. It depends on what your training is and what your passion is. And I know for me, I'm going to be more scientific with everything. So I'll probably get more into conditions and vials and researching what things are usually caused with, and then testing those things. That's my personality, but other people completely do other things. So that's where you start finding your different BIE practitioners. Like if we get a few in town, everybody will be different in how they work with people, but the result will be pretty much the same. So we'll just test a few and see if we see some difference. Okay, so I'll test your clarity again. Hold. 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 Okay. Come on ahead. Hold. Okay. Hold. Okay, so I could feel that. I could feel the difference when she had the palm on her hand. Some people it's more of a drastic, like, but some people it's not. Okay? Now go ahead. We'll just keep doing. Hold. 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 So that one was worse than the other ones. And a lot of times people can feel it themselves as well. Like they'll start feeling that they can't hold it anymore. Hold. That one was over there. Hold. That's good. Hold. That's over there. See, and she's starting to do her own testing. Hold. That's kind of in the middle, but more, yeah. See, and that's why I have different bins, and then I start seeing the strength. Hold. That one was Hold. That's over here. So what we found out is her most positive ones are vanillin, gum acacia. Now I don't know what everything is. I'll tell you that right away. Carnauba wax and alginic acid out of some of the, so those could be things that are bothering her, or they are, right? So if they're in a certain food that she's ingested.
She's really intolerant to those ones, is that what?
These ones compared to these ones, yeah. And the reason why we do muscle testing is we can't clear it all in one session. So if you can stick, whether it's good or bad, you can stick it all on. Like, my husband doesn't like to waste time, so even though I want to practice, when I first got certified, I needed to practice. He's like, you know what? I know I'm allergic to molds. Let's just get her done. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So then what we did with him is he knew he was affected with mold, and I cleared snow mold and a few mold vials, and he noticed a big difference. And then we went through all the indoor molds over a few sessions, because there's 30 indoor molds and then 30-ish outdoor molds. So then we did a few sessions of the outdoor molds as well, and we cleared all the molds. In the end, he not only doesn't get his runny nose in the spring, but his joint pain has gone away. And because allergy and inflammation, it's all linked, right? But it was good for me to see, and also for him, that we could clear a few conditions when we were really trying to do his nasal congestion. And then he knows he has some outdoor seasonal, so we've gone through all of the Great Lake pollens. So I've done all of that without testing him, but it's not costing him money, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm doing something that's he's negative or not, because it's just gonna reintroduce that frequency, and he's already good, so it's okay. I just still can't take the risk of putting the whole kit on the thing in case he goes into too much of a detox as well, plus too much at the same time.
Once you clear somebody, how long does it last?
It's permanent unless you develop it again
Oh,
with
so there's no-
another
You
stressful.
don't have to go through like in nutritional values, you have to eat certain foods all the time, you can't have to avoid those foods. So once it's cleared,
It's
you can
clear,
almost eat anything you want.
but anything that you overconsume, you're going to develop eventually. So the whole thing with soy, like why, like, you know, my mom says, why wasn't there a soy problem back when I was your age? Well, we didn't overconsume it back then.
They didn't have
It
the
wasn't-
GMO.
It wasn't genetically modified. And then she says, you know, why, well, I'm eating the same way as I was 20 years ago, why am I feeling these problems? I'm like, the meat that you got down the street 20 years ago isn't the same meat that you're getting down the street today, right? So, and is it grass-fed, is it grain-fed, you know, the whole thing, what you're feeding, is it genetically modified? So things have changed over time, and that's part of our problem. So in Japan, their biggest allergy is rice, they overconsume it. So, same thing with meat, wheat has been genetically modified, one, but two, we're not made to eat wheat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snack, toast before bed. You know, we're over consuming it, so we don't have enough digestive enzymes to digest what we're consuming. So if you're going to be eating things that the enzymes are killed with processing, with pesticides, with heating, microwaving, everything else, if you have no enzymes left in your food, you're putting a hard load on your body, on your digestive system. So it's always, if you're going to go for a fish fry, and you know, you wanna have that fresh fish coming out of the lake, you should probably bring yourself some digestive enzymes and just help your body work through that. Cause it's okay to cheat. I mean, I'm not into a huge, strict diet, but I think it's awareness and being able to help your body do things. Cause if you don't digest something, then that undigested protein continues through, and it'll affect your body wherever it's weakest.
Where can you get digestive enzymes naturally if you were trying to have a meal of the fish? Would you be eating salad with it or some kind of a...
Yeah, so naturally, you want to eat, so different enzymes digest different foods. So you want it, that food should help you digest itself. The problem is when you microwave something, when you boil something, when you cook it, you've kind of killed the enzymes from that. So your food isn't, because a vegetable isn't going to help you digest a protein, because the protease will digest protein.
I'm saying, but if you eat salad, like you're eating a green salad, lettuce and stuff like that, is
That will
digestive
help you
enzymes with
digest
that?
what that is. It's not going to help you digest the meat that you might be eating with
Okay.
it.
So what would you suggest for, like, if you were taking a
For
digestive
enzymes?
enzyme, like
Yeah, well,
acidophilus or bifidus or?
no, that's more probiotics, so that helps flourish your intestinal tract. But that doesn't help you, it helps with digestion, but it's not the same thing as a digestive enzyme. You can get plant-based digestive enzymes through, I mean, I use Nature's Sunshine, and that's what I will have in my business. But I get them through Nature's Sunshine, and also, I've been really getting into enzyme therapy, and Dr. Loomis in the States has many different enzymes for certain conditions to help with acid reflux, whatever it may be. So he has herbs with his enzymes, which help digest the herbs and your food is at the same time. So there's different ones. So I've been getting his in. Unfortunately, they're not Health Canada, like they don't have the NDC number. So I'm getting them in for myself and I'm experimenting with them. There are a few enzyme practitioners in Canada that, from what they tell me, they get busloads of clients. They go to the border and everybody grabs what they need, and that's how they do it. They just do it that way because these enzymes are so good. So I might get trained through the Loomis Institute for enzyme therapy, but more for my own knowledge in helping people. And then eventually, I haven't found a Canadian company yet with the same background as Dr. Loomis. So that's kind of where I'm headed.
But I'm always looking for something that people can get naturally. I mean, the caveman was eating fish, you know, where did he get his digestive enzymes? Like, what, where does it come from naturally?
The
Like,
fish wasn't full of possibly mercury or.
and he was eating it raw, probably.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, so they, you know, your digestive system can do a lot of things, but it's our generation that has changed the way we eat. And so our body's adapting to that, and that's what we're also seeing, a lot of conditions that are coming out from it. So I think it's just important to remember that if you can eat something in its raw form, or dehydrate, it can't be over, I think, 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can still dehydrate something and have little croutons if you want, or like Bliss Cafe has, she has her little patties, onion bread, whatever. She's done all of that by dehydrating it with a dehydrator, so she hasn't killed the enzymes. And at the same time, if you don't chew your food, like the salivary enzymes, a big important thing is slowing down to digest your food. So if you're so used to munching everything down and just working it down, you're not going to digest it well, because there's starches are digested right at the beginning. And you can fully digest a starch with your salivary enzymes if you chew it enough, because once it gets into the stomach, that starts your protein digestion. It stops. You're done with the digestive system of your starches. Like if you're eating pasta, you should be really chewing it down and not just gulping it. I watch my son eat, who's not 3, and he doesn't even chew his pasta. He's just like, I don't even see him chew, and I'm trying to tell him you have to, he doesn't really know what I'm saying, right? So I know I'm giving him a digestive enzyme. I give it to him pretty much every time he eats, to help him digest the food that he's ingesting. But that, so if you didn't chew your pasta, and now it's in the stomach, well, the stomach is now doing other work with other digestive enzymes that have been activated in the stomach. So it's not until it gets into that small intestine that things will start again. Or if it's not digested, then your liver takes over, or your pancreas. So things like that start happening where your liver already has enough jobs to do, so don't overdo it or give that organ too much to do. And that's why we see, you know, liver detoxing is a good thing. You know, they always say your digestion is most powerful in the morning because of, you know, it's all energy medicine as well. So a lot of people have said along the way, it's better to eat a big meal in the morning. But there's other schools of thought that say you probably shouldn't eat a big meal in the morning. Because your digestion is so strong, do something more as your tonic, like your lemon, your cayenne, something that doesn't really overload your digestive system, that will allow your liver to do the other cleaning jobs that it needs to do. Because if you're overdoing it with food, then your liver is trying to digest all that food that didn't get digested because you overate, and then your body didn't make enough enzymes to, because there's only so many enzymes that your body has to digest a food. So if you're overeating, then you're not going to be able to digest all of that. And then, so your liver does all the rest of the work. But if you can go on a nice little, even a light cleanse, and not do too much eating in the morning, and then slowly ramp it up a little more, and portion size, then your liver can be doing other work and cleaning those toxins out in the morning when it's strongest.
When is the best time to eat a warm meal? The bigger meal?
The bigger meal, the way when I was reading, it started at like noon, but early dinner, but nothing after dinner time. Like in the evening, because then you're preparing to shut down. It's not strong.
Which is when everybody usually eats it.
Yeah, yeah. And just learning not to overeat, because our stomachs get larger and,
So it's better nothing after, not anything after 6 o'clock.
correct, yeah. I would say more around the lunchtime-ish, but into the evening. But there's so many different schools of thought that it's really up to you to like kind of read and see what you wanna do and what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to give your liver a break, then you might wanna do that light eating in the morning and do a cleanse at the same time. And it's not that you're cleansing your body hugely, it's just that you're allowing your liver to overcome. A really good book that's very, it's for the average person, it's called Eating Alive. It's really, really, really interesting. I've read it like 3 times. Because I had to read it for school, but I just keep reading it because it's about colon cleansing as well as going through, like how the food go, eating alive. It starts with the food going in your mouth and then coming out of your body and going through each organ and which one gets overloaded. It's a very good book. If you're interested in that, I would definitely give it a good read.
If you still have a few minutes, can you talk about the cancer care part of what you may be doing in the future and how you're going to incorporate that, or I'm just interested in.
Yeah, well, for cancer prevention, obviously I haven't taken the program yet, but I know it's all about nutrition and everything else. Just to let you guys know, if you like my Facebook page, there's a new documentary coming, and it's going to be free. It starts on October 13th, and it's called The Truth About Cancer Continues. So I purchased the whole Truth About Cancer in the spring. There was 7 documentaries with all the leading doctors and scientists that are doing cancer prevention. I was absolutely addicted, and my husband had to put my son to bed every night because you could only watch it at a certain time. They changed it halfway that you had 24 hours to watch it. So I purchased the whole documentary, and I plan to, it's a 7 series, and each one is an hour and a half. So it's a long, it's a good 10 hours, let's say, of information. So I plan to do that eventually. But now they've already come out with, it was so popular, they come out with The Truth About Cancer Continues, and that's an 11-part series. So he continued traveling. His name is Ty Bollinger. He's lost so many people in his life to cancer, and he wants to find out the truth. He's read a good book, written a good book, and now he's exposing the truth. And then each documentary or piece of the part talks about a different thing. One will be about EMF and cell phones, one will be about nutrition, one will be about the ketogenic diet. So anybody that might have cancer, you should put strictly right away on a ketogenic diet, which is pretty much eliminating all sugars, yeast, getting on a candida cleanse, just getting all of that out of your system. It'll reset, you'll see things reverse. But then you have to change your diet. Rebalancing things, so food intolerances, all of that, that's where BioEnergetics comes in. There's just so many different things that you can do with cancer prevention, but this would be the same kinds of things. So it's not that you can't cure anything, your body's gonna do the work, as I said, your body's gonna choose if it's going to do it or not, but it's also up here. So they also talk about the subconscious mind, and people say, why does someone's told they have 3 months to live, and literally 3 months they die? Well, they've taken that into their brain, and they've allowed that. So you don't want to believe. The subconscious is such a powerful thing, and so it's all of that stuff combined. So that's what I'm going to be learning, but I think my focus at my school is going to be more holistic nutrition and all the antioxidants that you can do and the cleanses, things like that.
Nutrition and antioxidants is one of the most important things.
Yeah, it's definitely very important, and I think there's a lot of Health Canada rules when it comes to cancer, and not being able to give like an actual supplement antioxidant. It has to be whole food. So it's going to be getting into a lot of whole food diets.
And also anti-inflammatory. Because inflammation is the reason of every disease, heart disease.
And then and that's kind of where all the allergies start, right? The inflammation, and then it attacks everything else, and so many conditions have a root cause of something simple as even digestion or whatever it is. So it's finding that root cause and trying to get at it, but if it took you 20 years to get there, you can't expect to get back in 2 days. So it definitely, you have to go through that healing crisis and those ups and downs.
It's nice that you're cause oriented though, because sometimes people are good doctors because they manage symptoms, but they aren't healers. They don't get to cause.
They heal the end result, the disease, but they're not
Not the
preventing
causes
it.
of it.
And this truth about cancer, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about it, because I'm in radiation therapy, so I can't really talk too much about it, but they really get into how the pharmaceutical industry has overpowered our education system
Absolutely.
as well.
Right on.
And so it's all really interesting. So if you do want to follow me, you can even put it on the paper, put I'm interested in the and I can even email you the link to register so you get the daily emails of each episode. It starts October 13th, and I will be in front of the computer each night when it airs. But it's just such an interest to me. It's just really, my jaw drops at what I didn't learn in school. And about cancer, and I know so much about cancer, yet I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in.
Censored learning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm in that street, right, so.
Are you
So you're
familiar
gonna
with
air these,
I'm
for an
not
hour?
airing, but I'm going to be promoting it on my own Facebook page. So if you wanna get all the links, then I will be, I'm gonna have the baby in that time, so I might have to sleep. I think it
Oh,
finishes
right.
maybe just before, it starts on the 13th, it goes for 11 days. So I'm hoping to follow it every day and watch it every day. So we'll see how it goes. You guys might get a birth announcement. See if it-
Cause for the cause.
Are you familiar with Otto Warburg? Have you heard of Otto Warburg?
No, but I'll have to.
He
write
was
that
a
down.
renowned two-time, I believe, Nobel Prize-winning research scientist that he proved the cause and prevention of cancer back in 1927 or something. Yet it's not, doesn't seem to be in any of the books, like it was the deprivation of oxygen at a cellular level that causes the mutation, And he was the one that found that, but it just seemed to all get quiet. You don't see it mentioned in any books or,
And I do have an aerobic kit that I work with as well, because it's such an important thing in everything. I didn't hear of that name, but I have heard of many people that got fired in the day.
Well, that's way back, 1927, he won a Nobel Prize apparently for proving that,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and definitely give me feedback. I won't spam you by any means, but I am developing my email list, and I plan to announce like local events via email, or once I get my website up and running fully, I'll be blog posting on certain topics, so that will come through email. So if you want updates with what I'm doing, I'm not just gonna be focusing, my goal is large, it'll take time to get there, but my focuses will be EMF protection, cancer prevention, BioEnergetics or energy medicine, and nutrition. So if you want to hear about those topics as I expand and as I broaden, then definitely follow me. Yeah, because I'm still at the beginning stages of all of this. Still learning. Any other questions?
Back to the enzymes, there was no real general enzymes that you could get?
You want to get a generalized plant enzyme,
Or you
and
can't?
if you want information, I can email you and get you some,
Okay.
for sure. And then there's, through Nature Sunshine, which I also use and sell, they have a plant-based and then one from the body kind of base enzyme that you can get, but they're very general. And then with Loomis, you can get ones for dairy. So if you're going to ingest dairy and you can't really ingest it, then you're gonna take those. It depends on what you're ingesting. So if you wanna get specific, but they have a generalized one, and that's what I'm doing until I get trained. Because I can't use all of the different specialty enzymes until I'm fully trained in what conditions to use them with. And their training just happens to be kind of the first session of their training. I have to go to the States for it, and it's this month, so I knew I couldn't travel. It's in Wisconsin. So, but I plan to, I think he's kind of the leader in enzyme therapy, so I want to learn from him, and then I'll adapt it and see what I can do in Canada.
You're talking about water and how it's got magnetics and stuff to it. Do you, like, put magnets on it to clear the,
No,
no? Like,
no,
how
it's
do you get this perfect water that you're referring to?
so like the frequencies of these, well, they're made, and I don't know what kind of machine they're using to make all the frequencies, but the allergen isn't inside this vial. So if someone is anaphylactic to something, they're not going to be anaphylactic with this vial, because it's actually not the real, it's almost like homeopathy doesn't have, it's been diluted over time, okay? That that frequency is imprinted in this vial, and it's the water that's holding that frequency. So that's kind of how it works, and it's the same concept as Dr. Emoto and things like that, that water holds frequency.
If I'm drinking like a jug of water, how would I treat that to make it like,
You would love it, and you would talk to it really nicely.
just talk to
You
it?
could do,
Because my dad, he used to have magnetic water. He would put magnets on it, yeah, she does too. Put some magnets on it, because many moons ago, they read that a lot of the water that we drink is dead water. There's no life in it, there's no life essence in it. And so to return the life essence in it, you put these magnets on it, and you return the energy into the water.
and you can get like Kanga water and all kinds of machines that do all of this as well. I've heard of all this, I just haven't gotten into researching
Very
enough.
mellow taste. I like it, very smooth.
And that's the other thing with BioEnergetics that we can do, just lastly, because, I've been talking for a long time. You can bring in your own sample of water, and we can, so if you're always dehydrated, but you're drinking a lot and you're just peeing it right out, it means that you're most likely intolerant to something in the water. So you could bring in your water, let's say your well water, your Brita water, your fridge filter water. I will be collecting miniature bottled water, like Quebec Crystal, all of that. And I've even asked clients, can you bring me some city water, because I live in Murillo and I have a well. So I'm starting to collect all kinds of water samples. So if we're working with waters, we're gonna put all of, like, my vials plus your local, because every water has a different mineral, whatever it may be, that's floating around in the ground. So we wanna make sure that you're able to ingest your water and be hydrated.
And what do you feel about making the water? I bought this thing, but I didn't use it yet, to make your water, positive.
Oh, like the positive ions?
Yeah.
Well, I've read good
pH,
things about,
pH,
oh, the pH of it.
Alkaline.
Alkaline.
Alkaline is better, is
Yeah.
good, because that's what we should be, so
Not too
an
much,
alkaline diet is
7
better.
point something, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Like anything acidic is not
Yeah.
good for you,
Not bad.
so, if you have it more alkaline.
I bought a kind of stick you can put in, but I haven't yet used
Yeah.
it yet.
I haven't done enough research specifically on the water piece. I do know alkaline
Yeah.
is, diet-wise, to keep away from your acidic foods, like deep fried foods and
I
things
want
like
to
that.
try it out, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. I know there's so many companies coming out with all of this water stuff, and now it's just choosing which one is gonna be
Unfortunately, they all have little microbeads of plastic in them,
Yeah.
because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So I'm glad I was quick at the beginning because it made me last through. Sometimes you don't know what to talk about at the beginning.
You must be getting tired.
Yes, thank you very much. I know why I know you. I performed your wedding ceremony. And now you have 2 children